I made $32,260.43 in 1 month from this photo, from this stellar photo. Here's how this happened and why continually taking photos for your rental properties is one of the greatest real estate investment strategies and decisions and investments you can make. The property pictured here is the backyard of a 2,400 square foot home near Temecula, California, which is near Riverside. I launched this property so long ago, so I've always had to keep up with taking photos. Yes, there's been times where I did professional photos, and that probably needs to be updated here now. But basically, just over so many years, and different versions of iPhones, I've taken photos. But this photo here, the situation I'm talking about is a very unique and interesting rental that happened around early 2023 or spring of 23. And during this time, I was still, there was still reasonably filled with interest carrying over from the pandemic. But I was also noticing that more and more people were starting to get super picky from Airbnb. I was it's interesting because years ago it used to be like Airbnb was many years ago, right? Airbnb was actually preferred and easier, but as time went on, and this is really right around that time, I think of probably about like 2023, Airbnb started getting a little bit tough because the people were picky and their expectations were, I was noticing more often than not, or I shouldn't say more, a noticeable amount of time, their expectations were pretty out of control. And also around the time that I took this photo, I actually had a booking cancel after they got to the place from Airbnb. So at the time I was on high alert. So a lot of time I'll take photos when I'm taking photos of the outside. I'll also take photos, during the brighter parts of the day. But as you can probably see, the sun is actually setting in behind the mountains there. So I took this more like the kind of the maybe not the twilight, but kind of close to the twilight time of day, capturing the beautiful sunset here. My hope was to kind of capture the essence of the kind of all the different pretty colors with the sky there. Okay, so back to the camera just on me. So in general, I'm always motivated to maintain an increased revenue. I've got 2.8 30-year fixed mortgages on this particular property and my properties. So I'm in the habit of taking photos as much as I can. I don't know if I'd say every time that I'm there, but anytime I make like a nice noticeable addition or do some sort of noticeable change, at least maybe once a quarter or something like that, or a few times a quarter. And I'll even do this even if I have a bunch of photos that have done, stellar photos that have done very well for many years. Something newer hosts or even anyone considering entering short, medium-term rentals may not realize is that photography can make or break a property listing. If a property rental is falling behind, it's most likely due to the photography not being good enough. And as good as it could be, or it's just the photos aren't properly representing how great the property really is, right? I've had some guests, not a ton, but I have had many guests say that even at my place, the photos actually don't even represent how good the views are and how nice the property is. I've always thought and frankly known that my property was special, and I've always made an effort to snap my own photos in hopes of capturing a little more of its true beauty. So I snapped this photo. I'll go back to it in a second. Shortly after the problem booking I had, even though most of my photos were already very good, at least I thought they were pretty good, I uploaded this new photo and a few other new ones as well that I took. So what happened was within maybe within a few weeks after kind of putting up some new photos, I started seeing an influx of new inquiries. Then there was this one guy who kept writing me. Initially, I was a little bit not feeling super great about it, only because he wanted a long time. He wanted like literally over 2 months. But it was right during the time when the nightly rates are really strong. Like he wanted, the end of April all the way to July. So usually the strong months are really May to September, which is also known as the high season. So he kept writing me. Obviously, that's a good sign when somebody keeps writing you because it means they're kind of, pretty interested and maybe even hooked on the property. And then after a few days, I started getting excited. And the reason I got excited is, while I'm not really used to taking long bookings during the high season, it is a pretty nice way to kind of guarantee like no vacancy, right? And as I talked to him more, I started realizing that he had a very interesting, you know, situation that he was in. It was kind of an edge case, and it was looking like I was going to get high revenue numbers. So we ended up talking and communicating, email and phone call for a few weeks, as I was actually finishing up several weeks worth of projects in the house, rather expensive, kind of remodeling and doing stuff to the bathroom. So after a thorough discussion and what was like pretty much weeks of discussion, we moved forward with their booking, and it turned out to be pretty much the mid to end of April until the mid to end of June, which was really 60 nights. They originally wanted, I think, July 1st, but I was able to talk him into June 23rd because at the time my son was getting out of school, and I wanted to do a kind of a summer celebration for the kids. So what happened was that they did their booking, and it ended up being 60 nights, and they ended up spending $32,260.43. So this actually payment came over from VRBO, and it was ended up coming over in 3 payments, but right away. Like, well, it was all done within a couple days. So the payments came over in a matter of a couple days, but it all occurred within 1 month. And what's so interesting is they inquired right after, uploading some of the new photos that I had taken, around the time of this problem booking. So was this a an unusual situation? Was it an edge case? Yes, it was. Basically what happened was, this particular guest, he and his family had used VRBO, and they ended up finding a property on VRBO, selecting it, booking it, paying for it, and they get to the property and somebody is living there. So what happened was, the original owner sold it and didn't take it off VRBO, and somebody's living there, so they had nowhere to go. So VRBO was paying for a hotel room for them. So, they basically, VRBO told them they would accommodate them, and they found mine, and they said that they liked it. And even during this process, the gentleman informed me of his edge case situation, and I, said at the time that I was testing higher new rates, so I ended up testing very high rates for that time period. So I was able to, clearly, with that sort of a figure for 60 nights, I was able to capitalize on and receive the high nightly rates that I was actually testing. So it was really pretty much a win for everybody. Maybe not so much a win for VRBO, but obviously a huge win for me, a win for them. And it's not like while the rates that I used were high, it's not like it was, it wasn't like it was completely, out of this universe. And VRBO had a win because they were able to accommodate the group, and the group did end up having to pay what their original reservation was for the time frame, and then VRBO paid the rest. So something else that happened with this, which was pretty surprising to me, was I forgot to switch the rates back. So I was kind of testing really high rates. So what'll happen is, quite often I can start testing the rates in, like, let's say February, and then as we get through, usually their bookings are pretty strong through the end of July, and then I'll start having to take a look and maybe adjust prices, during maybe June, July, or August. But what happened was I completely forgot to change the rates, and people ended up booking the property for the whole, well, not the whole summer, but through, let's say, the middle of August, right? So I ended up getting these really high rates, and one of them ended up being $9,000 for a week. So there you go. I'm always snapping photos because you never know. You never know when a really good photo you're going to get. You could take 50 photos and get one really good one, and I'm always snapping photos. And obviously, I got a couple good and new ones, and I put them up on the site. And this whole situation, happened shortly after I put up the new photos and optimized the photos because I was motivated from the problem booking. So as you may imagine, this holds the record for the greatest booking I've had, with this property, and it really just goes to show you the power of good photography. So if you've got a good photo, hey, attach it somewhere. Attach it in the comments, or to this video, or wherever you see this post. Throw up one of your good photos so I can see it. So thank you very much for watching. If you like this, if you like investing content and talking about all the little nuances with respect to real estate and short and medium term furnished rentals, consider giving the video a like and consider subscribing to the channel. Also, if you know anyone that might benefit from this, if they're looking to get into real estate investing, or if they already have a short-term rental, and you want to share this video with them, go ahead and do that. I also have some links in the description area. You'll see it's called, I call it the SMTR Launch Kit, which stands for Short and Medium Term Rentals Launch Kit. I've been doing these rentals for literally 2 decades, and it's very, very, very simple and an inexpensive launch kit, and you get a lot with that. And then also I do very basic coaching. Again, very, very basic. Actually, some email coaching is what I do right now, and it's a very not expensive at all. If you or somebody that you know might be interested in that, and you'd be, obviously getting, working with more of an expert that's just someone that's a little bit further ahead than you. And one of the reasons I talk about all this content is because I actually personally have launched 4 different businesses that went up to $1 million or more per year, and alongside of all of those, I've actually owned and managed about 5 short and medium term rentals over the years. And during that time, I still have a portfolio, and it's rather sizable. And through all the wealth building strategy quinfecta, I call it, with real estate, I've been able to carve out myself a very nice retirement if I do decide to actually sell the properties, or even hold on to the properties and rent them out. It's still in its own way is a retirement. So thank you very much, and have a great one.